Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah from Pies and Prose, and we are back with another workshop. So today we're going to be talking about how I edit my photos for Instagram. Now this has nothing to do with social media tools or insights or anything like that, but I thought it might be helpful for those who are looking for inspiration. I know my number one question on Instagram, what I get from like DMs, is how do you edit your photos, what apps are you using, etc, etc. And so I'm gonna share that with you today. This is actually an updated video of the first ever video I posted on this YouTube channel. So that was my first video, I think almost 2 years ago, and so I'm just doing a bit of an update because the way that I edit my photos have changed, and they change ever so often. I go through different phases in the way I want my photos to look. So we're doing an update, and I'm going to guide you through everything that I do, what tools I use, what apps I use, and from start to finish final product. I will share that with you today. I also wanted to note these workshop videos, I haven't done it purposely, but I've been posting them every other week with like other kinds of videos intertwined, because of course I don't just post these workshop videos. I post a lot of content based on my life, what food I'm eating, what things I'm enjoying. You might expect these to post every other week if you're here for those types of videos. You can always set a notification by first subscribing and then clicking the notification bell so that you're notified whenever I post. And hopefully one day in the future I can post these more often, maybe post these workshop videos once a week in correlation with another video, like basically posting 2 videos a week. Fingers crossed that that will happen soon. And speaking of which, I just hit 500 subscribers here on YouTube, so thank you so much for joining me here. It's a really small milestone, but it's a milestone for me, and I appreciate every single person that is here. So yeah, enough of that. Let's get right into how I edit my photos for Instagram. So I'm going to share my screen, like my phone screen. I do want to mention before I begin that I use my phone to take photos and edit everything from start to finish. So I don't use anything fancy. I just use my phone, and the phone that I use is the Google Pixel. I just got the Google Pixel 5, as you can see, in this fancy schmancy color. And I use various apps, which I'll get into in a second, but I just use my phone. I don't use anything else. When it comes to certain shots, I will use a tripod that I can mount my phone on. I can link that in the description, but aside from that, it's just my phone and the apps that are on it. Okay, so I am now sharing my screen, and what you see here is an unedited photo that I took with my phone. When I took this photo, it was actually with the Google Pixel 4. So this is the photo that I have unedited, unfiltered. Nothing has happened to this photo. So I'm going to go through various apps while I show you this walkthrough. I'm just going to share it to the first app that I do in this process, and that app is Snapseed. Snapseed is a free app, and it is a photo editing app, and I like it. It's comparable to Lightroom, and when I'm in this program, I sort of just play with the tuning of the image. So as you can see there, I just went to tune image, and it's going to show you different options that you can do in that section. So you can change the brightness, contrast, saturation, etc, etc. Now, what I like to do with my photos in particular is to make them darker. I know it's a very popular thing to make them lighter, so you can do whatever you choose, but my photos personally, I like them on the darker side. So I just bring the brightness down. And there's no specific number to this, if you're wondering. I really just play it with how it looks to me visually and how I know my feed looks. Aesthetically, I've been doing this for a long time, so I just have an eye for it. But yeah, I'm just generally going for a darker image. Once I get it to that darkness that I want, I change the ambiance a little bit, which, as you can see, definitely affects the photo in a type of way. Now, I don't go onto the negatives. I think that kind of blurs the image a little bit for me personally, especially because I made it dark. So I go a little bit on the other end. And again, I'm just eyeballing it based on what I think looks right. And then, actually, at this point, I don't really do much else. Sometimes I'll play with the shadow if I want more or less. And I definitely want the photo to be on the warmer side, because if you've seen from my Instagram feed, my feed is very warm. So if it's not warm naturally, I will just add a little bit of warmth to it. but not too much. Okay, and so there you can see I did my first step of just tuning the image a little bit. I also do perspective sometimes. Now the perspective can change like the angle of the photo depending on what you need to fix. Sometimes you need to fix that if the photo didn't come out perfectly angled. Actually, I do that a lot of the times because as you can see, there's a book in the photo, and sometimes the book can look a little skewed depending on how I took the photo. So sometimes I alter it to make sure that the book looks like good. So that's that for perspective. As you can see, I didn't do too much there. And that's pretty much it. That's all I'm going to be doing for this photo at least. Sometimes I do a bit more, sometimes I do a bit less, but in this instance, pretty straightforward. This is what I'm going with. So I'm going to hit done. I'm just going to go into the folder where that new edited photo showed up, and I'm going to share it. I'm going to share this new photo, the one that I just edited in Snapseed, to Vsco. I don't know if you've heard of this app. It's quite popular, but this is another photo editing app. This one has a lot more filters. It has a lot of the same things that you saw in Snapseed, but what I like about this app in particular is that it has filters. So this is the filter that I use. I believe it's a paid filter. I'm not too sure at this point. I've had this app for a long time. So this is the filter that I use if you're curious. Once I add my filter, I go into more fine tuning. Now the reason why I do this after the fact is, as opposed to in Snapseed, is I want to see how the filter affects my photo before I do any more fine tuning. So this is why I do this afterward. But I just fix the exposure a little bit. Again, this is just on the eye. It's not anything in particular. Sometimes I fix the clarity. Sometimes I add a little bit of saturation if I want the colors to pop a little bit. I adjust the highlights quite a bit, as you can see. And sorry if I'm going too fast, but these are not specific, so I don't want to show you something that you have to copy and paste just because this is not how my photos go every single time I take a photo. It varies, so just know that these are the general options that I click on when I'm in this app. Sometimes I do skin tone. I definitely add a grain, and sometimes recently I've been doing a lot of split tone, and I do it in orange. Okay. Just gonna go back and see what else I wanna adjust. Okay, and there you go. I just did some fiddling. I like the way that it looks. It's very nice and warm. It has that darkness to it as opposed to super bright like I like. And that's all that I'm gonna do in Vsco. Now that I've done that, I'm going to put this through one more app, the final app. So the final app that I'm gonna put this through is Polish. And with Polish, it's another photo editing app. This app is not as refined as Vsco or Snapseed. I think Snapseed is on the more professional side. Vsco is on the more filtered, aesthetic side. And then Polish I use just for a tiny, tiny bit of finishing touches. So this app, again, all these apps are free. Some things you need to pay for within the apps. Now, once I'm in Polish, I'm going to add some layering, some little bit of effects. And so I do effect, and then I go to light FX, and I go to dust and scratch. And this is where I get my little bits of dust on the photo. And yeah, I just pick one, I play around with it based on how much I want to be showcased, I guess. And once I like what I see, I just hit the check mark there. And then the last thing I'm going to do is hit draw and magic. And this sends me to a place where I can add some sparkles. So this, again, I just use my eye and I add sparkles based on where I think it looks nice. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. And that's it. So now I'm going to export this one last time, and this is going to be the photo that I post into my Instagram feed. We're going to go into my Instagram account. We're going to add the photo, And believe it or not, I still fine tune at this stage. Majority of that is with the adjust section. And so again, because I use books, I want to make sure that the book looks correct and aligned properly. So I'll just sort of mess with that and make sure that it looks good to my eye. Sometimes I move it up and down, sometimes I zoom in, but I'm going to leave it right at that. Hit done. And then it's time for me to post on Instagram. So this is the final product. This is what it looks like. And as you can see, it definitely matches up with my Instagram feed as you so know it at the moment. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So again, I'm going to mention the apps that I used in this demo in the description. They are all free. Some have some in-app purchases. I use my phone. I use apps that are on my phone, and that's all that I use. I do have a professional camera. I don't use it for Instagram. I invest a lot in the Pixel phones because the Pixel phones do have a high-end camera for a phone. So I take advantage of the Pixel. I invest in that so that I can use the phone as opposed to pulling out the camera all the time to take photos. As for the props that I use, I do not go out and seek. I do not purchase props just for the sake of purchasing props. Personally, I don't feel like I need a lot of props in my photos. As you can see, I have a couple of things here and there, but those are not things that I've purchased purposely for the sake of prop use. Those are actual decor in my apartment. These are things that I've purchased here and there throughout the years. As you know, these are really, really infamous in my photos, the wooden pencils. I've had these pencils since I was maybe 15 or 16 years old. So quite some time, and I didn't purchase these back when Instagram was around. So I just, use what I have in the space that I live in. I take pride in minimalist photos, so as you can see, I don't like to clutter up the space. That is just the technique that I use, but you can do whatever you choose. And I suggest if you're looking for a certain look or vibe to your photos, you can go browsing on Instagram and get inspiration from people who are fantastic at what they do. I also want to mention that though I am showing you a demo of how I post photos on Instagram from my personal feed, this is not going to guarantee you the results that I get with my Instagram. There is a lot more to Instagram than just copying and pasting an aesthetic that you see on Instagram. It doesn't equal results. As you know, in this workshop series, you have to put a lot of work into that. So if you're interested in that, there is a playlist linked in the description for how to build your Instagram account that has not just anything to do with the photos that you post, but the techniques and the tools that are provided for you so that you can grow. This is just a fun little demo for those who are interested. You can use these techniques if you want. I mean, it's all up to you. Just make sure that you're doing it for you and you're not doing it to copy and paste someone else's technique, because at the end of the day, the growth comes from your personality, not from the same exact aesthetic that you see other people do. So just keep that in mind, and hopefully it has opened you up to some apps that you haven't heard of before. And if you have heard of them before, maybe you have an idea of how to use them a little bit better. If you liked this video, I would appreciate if you liked it, and if you enjoy the videos that you're seeing here, or if you're interested in seeing more of the workshop series videos here on my channel, definitely subscribe and hit the notification bell. Like I said earlier, I've been posting these like bi-weekly, so every other week. I would love to post them more often, but at the moment, this is all I can do in the time frame and the restrictions that I have right now working a 9 to 5. You can always contribute if you want to. I have a Patreon, and one of my goals on my Patreon is that one day I'll be able to post 2 videos a week, which means that I could potentially post 1 workshop series video a week. So I'll link that in the description if you're interested. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.